So 2023 was an exciting year for Lung Cancer Initiative, starting with we celebrated our 15th year as an official 501c3, and we also celebrated 10 years of our gas card program, which is a wonderful program helping patients get access to treatment and clinical trials. We funded the most research we've ever funded since our existence, with over $400,000 in lung cancer research. We began working in 2 new communities in eastern North Carolina. We also took our message out across the community to the American Academy of Family Physicians in Asheville, numerous health cares, Rotary clubs. So really just getting the word out across our state.
Lung Cancer Initiative of North Carolina has had a major impact on lung cancer research. And that impact has been particularly focused in North Carolina. When physicians and other healthcare professionals are starting off in their careers, it is hard to get initial funding. Lung Cancer Initiative has been extremely successful in identifying promising young healthcare professionals, funding their initial efforts at doing research, and moving them along to develop a research career. We have what we call a fellows grant, and this would be a modest-sized grant to fund an interesting idea for somebody who's just getting started. We have another grant, career development grant, that is really more for researchers who have gotten started in their career, and this will fund several years of established research to really move them to the point where they can potentially compete for a federally funded NIH or National Cancer Institute grant to really put them on the road to becoming a promoted, federally funded cancer researcher. Justin Milner is a junior investigator at University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Dr. Milner's research has proposed different mechanisms to try to identify ways to get the immune cells adapted to attack the cancers, but not attack the rest of the body. The basic idea around the alumni grant was we had a number of early investigators, either at the fellows level or the junior faculty level, who'd received grants and had gone on to pursue academic careers. We felt that we were in a position to give someone who was showing success an additional boost in their career to take them to an even higher level. We will do better working together than working individually. So Lung Cancer Initiative is teaming with other groups who are fighting the same fight. Longevity is an important lung cancer research and survivor group that does similar work to what Lung Cancer Initiative does in North Carolina. So that we partnered with Longevity to try to better understand, screen for, and eventually treat lung cancers in young people.
I was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer in May of 2014. After about 3 major operations and 14 months of immunotherapy, I finally made it out the other side and things had settled down. You know, I ended up retiring a few years after that, and I was just completely lost. Didn't really know what the next steps were. My daughter, she was going to school in Charlotte and living there, and she had signed up for the Lung Cancer Initiative Lunge Forward 5K event in Charlotte because she was a runner and she thought it'd be a good thing to do to support me, and she basically made me come down there and go to it. When I was there, I met caregivers, I met healthcare professionals, and other survivors, and I really got a feeling of community from being with all those people for that afternoon. So it was pretty neat. Ended up going to the LCI event in Greensboro. They had the summit, and again there was that same mix of people. It was kind of nice because at that one we actually had a breakout session with other survivors, and for a survivor it's really nice to get together with your peers because you can you're with people that are going through the same thing you went through. What really impacted me though was finding out about the Wind River retreat. For me, it was really impactful because it was kind of a way to get completely away from life itself. So you're not having to think about responsibilities or anything. All you have to do is show up. We did different things as a group, and it was just really, for me, it was very impactful. I came away from that feeling pretty good. Being able to connect with other survivors just in a whole new way.
Over the past 16 years, I think I'm most proud of how we've grown our network. We started as a very small group, a handful of us, advocates, survivors, healthcare providers that really wanted to make a difference for lung cancer patients and their loved ones. And our network has grown tremendously over the state, hundreds if not thousands of people that we've reached and impacted. So I'm very proud of that, and I'm proud of the amount of research that we've been able to fund and just the amount of progress that's been made in the field of lung cancer. 2024 looks to be another very exciting year as we continue to grow. We will continue to fund major research across and beyond the state of North Carolina. We will continue to grow our network. We are certainly growing a survivor network. We just keep seeing that number grow, and then those who are engaging with us in very meaningful ways. That's a very positive thing for the whole community.
Thanks so much. I'm going to welcome Emily Parks, our board secretary, up for the next part of the program. Emily, come on up.
Good evening. How is everybody? My name is Emily Parks. I'm not quite as tall as Jim is, so let me adjust this right here. My father was diagnosed with lung cancer in September of 2008. And being a very analytical person, I immediately went to the internet and tried to figure out, what is this lung cancer thing? Because I'd heard about all sorts of different things, but I had not heard about lung cancer. And I stumbled upon Lung Cancer Initiative and immediately was not only compelled by the amazing research that was being funded by this group, but the education of this group. Because no matter what breakthroughs we have for earlier diagnoses and treatments that help patients live longer, better lives, and even eventually a cure, if people don't know about those things or know the questions to ask, then that doesn't really matter. And so I was passionate and have been involved since then with an organization that shares all that good news with people, shares what you can ask your physicians and what those physicians are doing to help you live longer, better lives. And then when my great aunt was diagnosed with lung cancer in 2015, I was able to help her with the questions. We were taken aback, and at that point I probably should have known better, but we don't say should in the world anymore, right? So she was just having a pain in her shoulder, and thankfully for Lung Cancer Initiative's education about the symptoms of lung cancer, we were able to establish that yes, a pain in the upper arm is a symptom of lung cancer, and be able to get her help. So I'm very grateful for this organization, and I'm very proud to serve as our board of directors secretary. I also would like to acknowledge that many of us are here in the same boat that I am, where we are honoring someone that we have lost to lung cancer. So I want, if I have not given you your hug yet, here's my hug to anyone in the room who has lost a loved one to lung cancer. This is such a dreadful disease, and I am so grateful that it brought you to us, and hope that you find comfort with those of us who have battled the same situation as you, but hope in all the treatments that are coming about because of the research studies that our loved ones have been through, and all of the ways that their legacy is living on with this organization. And speaking of the legacy, these on the screen right now are the names of many of those we lost from across the Lung Cancer Initiative community over the past year. Many of these were people who were near and dear in our hearts, of many of us in this room. And we honor their memory by coming together in fellowship today, but also the work that we do to support the mission of Lung Cancer Initiative. So I ask that each of you will join me in a moment of silence to remember these individuals and all of those who are in our hearts at this time. And as you are taking a moment to remember those who we have lost to this disease, I want to extend an invitation to you for an upcoming event. On May 24th, from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, members of the Lung Cancer Initiative Network and community will gather together at Transitions Life Care to honor and celebrate those individuals that we have lost in the lung cancer community, and also to provide community to one another in that evening and talk about our common experiences and how we can make an impact together. So I hope that you'll mark your calendar for May 22nd from 6 to 7 p.m. at Transitions Life Care. And you can find out more information about that on the website. Cool. I got happy with my fingers there. But I also want to acknowledge a very important and special group that's here in the room with us today. Those are the caregivers, those that give of themselves, their love, their huge hearts to care for their loved ones who have been impacted by lung cancer. May I please ask that anyone who is a current or former caregiver of someone with lung cancer, please stand and allow us to acknowledge you. Thank you all so very much. Having been a caregiver myself, I know that this is a labor of love for all of us, and your impact is not only noted and appreciated by your loved one, but all of our community, because it is by your love and kindness and generosity that we are able to make life better for those that are battling this disease. So thank you all so very much. And it is now my honor to present the Caregiver of the Year Award, which is in recognition of the compassion and devotion of someone who takes care or has taken care of an individual diagnosed with lung cancer, because we all have been in those shoes at one point or another. Our Caregiver of the Year Award goes to Matt Helgen. Matt Helgen is a caring, compassionate, and humble caregiver and husband, and has been tremendously supportive throughout his wife's lung cancer diagnosis and treatment. He sacrificed his career as a professor at Western Carolina University to work as her caregiver in order to help her live her best life and give hope to others with lung cancer. Matt accompanied his wife to all of her appointments, studies, and treatments that would require long hours on the road and at the clinic, and additionally wrote handwritten thank you notes to her many supporters that sponsored her on her first walk, providing updates of her progress. He has helped raise money for Lung Cancer Initiative through joining his wife on walks in Raleigh and recruiting sponsors for the Lunge Forward events. He has additionally been an active participant in other Lung Cancer Initiative programs and accompanied his wife to many Lung Cancer Initiative functions. Thank you so very much for the love and kindness that you provided your wife.
Let me try to get this right. Okay, well, thank you, LCI. But I also wanted to take a moment to thank my fellow caregivers and acknowledge them. really, I'm only a representative receiving this gift for a much larger group. And I just wanted to acknowledge them. Did write up a little something. So I too experience much of what you experience as a caregiver to caregivers. The limbo of an ever-present uncertainty, the loss of oneself in the face of a devastating disease, and the falling away of individuals close to you because of an inability to deal with life's new circumstances. Okay. But I also know the joys. And the joys are, for me, waking up in the morning with the woman I love, sharing a cup of coffee and talking, exploring the world and new things, in spite of all of it, the difficulties, and being present with her as someone she can, without a doubt, depend upon and know. And knowing that she knows that I would not have that any other way. Alyssa and I have been together for 40 years, and I have been privileged to be with her both in adventures and in challenging circumstances, and by her side. And my hope for you, caregivers in the room, that the joys outweigh the sorrows, and that your choice of being present in your loved one's life brings you closer and perhaps a little certainty. Thank you. Thank you, LCI.
Thank you, Matt, for those words and all of the love that you've shared. We are honored to honor you this evening. And now I would like to invite Dr. Catherine Mileham up to the stage to talk briefly about the ways that lung cancer providers are involved with Lung Cancer Initiative, including leadership, education, research, and as volunteers. Dr. Mileham, please join me up here.
Okay. Wow. It's a lot to follow after that. So I just want to say there's so many things about tonight that are amazing. Jim, I love the fact that you said that we are not silent people. I was in the elevator to this afternoon with somebody at this hotel, and they said, "What are you here for?" I said, "Well, let me tell you." And so, we're sharing the word, we're getting the word out. And just to hear about love and caregivers, gratitude, right? So a lot of emotions there. I do need readers now, so I'm going to use them. And I know that already tonight we've had some people stand and we're getting our exercises and squats, but I'm here first to recognize our healthcare professionals. But I honestly think as the night is unfolded, we are all providing care and health. And although I was asked to recognize the healthcare professionals, I just like to recognize everybody. So I want everybody to exercise their legs, stand up, and give yourself a round of applause for being here this evening and supporting Lung Cancer Initiative. the support and participation is awesome. But to recognize those healthcare professionals, we have nurses, pharmacists, PhDs, navigators, physicians, and so many other key teammates who are here tonight advancing that lung cancer initiative mission. We appreciate your leadership, your education, the research, and the volunteerism, the hours that you put into making this special. Lung Cancer Initiative has been really important to me over these many years. And I am at Levine Cancer Institute in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I think one of the things that I have found through my participation in Lung Cancer Initiative is truly a bigger family. This is outside of our own institution. It is different from our day-to-day job, but still truly a regional team that is aligned with the same goals to advance the care within lung cancer. We are not, just colleagues. We are truly friends. And for that, I am grateful. And in that same vein, I can advance my own slides. I also have the pleasure to recognize one healthcare professional who has made a significant impact this year. The Healthcare Professional Award recognizes an individual that goes above and beyond in an effort to provide supportive and patient-centered care to lung cancer survivors. And so with that, please, if you haven't already, take a moment to read the vignette in this evening's event program. In addition to some of the adjectives used to describe him, which are proactive, genuine, eager maybe, passionate, and compassionate, I did a little digging myself and found other adjectives to really commemorate who he is in his profession. He is described as caring. He puts people at ease. He explains things thoroughly, and multiple people said that, which is a true gift. He is concerned and trustworthy. Not only does he listen, but he explains and has exceptional bedside manner in his professional state. And I'd like to point this out. He is not a medical oncologist. He's a pulmonologist. And that is a key component to everything that we are working on here. He is the one who may be the first contact with a patient who has an abnormal scan, or he may be the one that advocates for the screening and do the cancer confirming biopsy. These are tough situations with very difficult conversations. And he is the key for somebody like myself in medical oncology to be successful. He has a tremendous responsibility, not just to diagnose, but also to detect. So Dr. Eichert, as already mentioned by Jim, has provided an incredible presentation on lung cancer screening and barriers to more than 700 primary care providers, getting the word out, engaging the community, advocating also at the Advocate Summit, ultimately making that significant impact on Lung Cancer Initiative's community and within our North Carolina state. He has led efforts to increase access to screening for the uninsured and underinsured populations at Cone Health through initiatives to cover screening costs and research to determine how to reach more underserved populations and individuals who may be eligible for screening. So thank you, Dr. Eichert. We celebrate you and your contributions to the community that Lung Cancer Initiative serves.
I was not expecting all of the stories to go along with it. Nice to meet everybody. I also, when I received the message about getting the award, I kind of set back a little bit from that. But, I think most importantly to thank my wife that's here and family that's here, and as we have a whole team here from Cone Health, as you see at this table. We've got one of the best teams in the state, and they are all of these things that we saw listed today, passionate about their work, excited to do what they do, and more importantly, thankful to our patients, because without their stories and the lives we get to help change and impact, it's what kind of drives us to do this day in and day out. And I see the nods there from the team. We really do have an opportunity to impact them, and I couldn't do it. And I couldn't do any of the work that I do without the folks that are there at the table. So this is not just for me, it's for the team that we get to do this with. And I know there was some that couldn't be here tonight as part of it, but we're really thankful for all that's done, and thankful to the LCI for letting me participate this year. So we've had a couple opportunities to participate. So we're looking forward to the future. Thanks, everybody.
I get more. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Jacob Stein. He's from UNC Chapel Hill. He's here tonight because there was not a game. The Heels beat Miami Monday, 75-71. And if you watched that, it was a battle. Duke crushed Louisville last night. So for all of our Duke people, big games are coming this Saturday. We know Chapel Hill and State, and Duke's got its thing. So we're just happy that Dr. Stein was available this evening. I didn't check what was happening at Emory or UW, but these were the games that I was watching this week. Dr. Stein is going to provide us some great insight into his passion, some of the struggles in research, and I appreciate that he is willing to face that and discuss it tonight, as well as the successes. He is navigating barriers to equitable access to precision medicine and advanced lung cancer. So Dr. Stein, please come up. Thank you.
That was great. And now I don't have to check ESPN to see what the games are this weekend. Thank you. I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey as an LCI research fellow, and we've got some life lessons, some liquid biopsies. Hopefully there's something for everyone. I'm an assistant professor at UNC in the Division of Oncology, and this was my study, the EQUIP study on equity and precision medicine for lung cancer. I don't have any disclosures, although I did use, I've never done this before, I used ChatGPT to make some images, so I will tell you where those are. This is a real photo. And Jenny told me to keep it under an hour, and so I think we'll stick to that. I'll talk briefly about my background and how I got connected with the LCI, which I'm really grateful for. I will talk some about the challenges of conducting research, especially in the current era, some key findings from our study, and just a few summary comments. So a little bit about me, you've heard some. I'm a Durham native. I grew up with physician parents in the VA system, and I say that just to say I grew up in a culture of service, and I think that's really important, and that's really important to LCI as well, and informs a lot of my research interests. You can see some of my stops along the way. I would be remiss to not mention that I'm a husband. I'm a father of 2 adorable children. I'd be happy to show you pictures. I'm a musician and a basketball fan, but I won't actually tell you which way I lean, because either way, I'm going to alienate half the room. But these are my career interests. I'm really drawn to improving care for underserved populations. And again, I think that comes from my family and my background. So how do we improve equity of the highest quality cancer care? We all know the huge population burden that lung cancer poses, and we know that there are gaps in care for numerous populations, including folks of color in rural areas without insurance and a variety of other factors. And precision medicine we'll talk about on the next slide, but we know that's really critical to improve outcomes in lung cancer care. And so the question with all of these is, how do we make progress? Okay, here's our first AI generated image. On the left, so this is sort of what I'm interested in. How do we take the precision medicine, the genome, the cells, what's going on at a cellular level in cancer, and merge that with what's happening out in society, where we know not everybody has the same opportunities, and also people face different barriers. I thought it did an okay job. So precision medicine, I think everyone here is familiar with, but it's this concept of genetic sequencing of tumors so that we can really understand the biology and tailor the treatment more than just chemotherapy, but using things like immunotherapy and targeted therapies. And generally that's sent off tumor tissue, but we can also, as I alluded to in the title, draw blood and do what's called a liquid biopsy to look for those same mutations. So my question is, how do we merge this gap? How do we understand how to bring precision medicine to everybody who needs it, including underserved populations? And I'm at the table with a patient navigator. I believe patient navigation is really a promising strategy to do this. So I heard about how wonderful LCI is from UNC faculty, from my wonderful mentor, Marjorie Charlot, and I applied and was fortunate enough to receive this grant. And my study was to do surveys and interviews with patient navigators, medical oncologists, and pathologists to understand what the barriers are. And so I was like really excited. I was a fellow. This was my very first grant. I was so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. But I don't know if you guys heard about COVID. So that really made it hard to do this research. People were surveyed out. People did not want to click on another link or participate in an interview, and I totally understand that. But it became very challenging to do the work. Again, here's my second, AI-generated image, trying to find some greenery, some hope in this landscape that felt a little bit barren. And so the first lesson was that I sought partnership. I looked around me and looked for folks that could help and support this effort. And so I was fortunate enough to connect with folks at the North Carolina Oncology Navigator Association and the North Carolina Medical Association. UNC has a big network of affiliate sites. I reached out to my colleagues and mentors, Dr. Charlot, Tammy Allred. Tama Hargraves was a big supporter of this work, and I'm infinitely grateful to her, a beloved advocate. And we stuck with it. We completed 56 surveys from a range of folks. We completed some interviews. These were not the numbers we were hoping for, and so we had to scale back a little bit on our analytic plans, but we were able to present this work at ASCO last year. We have a manuscript that I'm very excited about that's currently under review, and I think contributed some important findings. So just briefly, I want to share some of these findings. What we saw was significant gaps in the delivery of precision medicine. And this was specific for folks with advanced lung cancer. And so when we see that 19% of clinicians are saying that they never order NGS, that should be 0%. That is a huge gap. And over half are never ordering liquid biopsy. And we'll talk about barriers in a moment, but actually I think this is a big gap as well. We saw that there were knowledge gaps for clinicians not feeling knowledgeable about next generation sequencing, liquid biopsy, or the targeted therapies that we all know are so important. And when I mentioned navigators as an important strategy for improvement, what we saw is that navigators are actively involved in these conversations, but didn't necessarily feel comfortable or informed to have the depth of discussions that they were having. And specifically, one of the things navigators do so well is identify barriers and resolve them. And they had limited confidence in our sample in resolving those barriers. And so I think that's a huge opportunity to improve care, is to equip navigators with more education and training to handle these conversations about precision medicine. We only had a few interviews, and I'm not going to read all of these quotes to you, but it's one of the reasons I love qualitative research. We were talking at our table about the importance of stories, and I think some of these quotes really give a lot of richness to our findings. We were talking about underserved populations, and one of our navigators commented that some of our patients of color are still thinking about Tuskegee, worried about being experimented on. I think that's so important when we're communicating with patients, to acknowledge some of the historical traumas and things that have happened, but also engage in a process of, hey, this is something that could really help you. The second one's a little longer, but this navigator was talking about social determinants of health and barriers to treatment. And she said, I don't care if you're a state senator or you're homeless, I'm going to ask you the same questions. Do you have enough money for food? Do you have enough money for your medications? Do you feel safe at home? We can't always look at somebody and see what barriers they're facing at home. So I think that's really critical. And the last is one of my favorite quotes. It's the reason I'm a navigator. It's the lighthouse in the storm. The storm's the cancer, and I'm directing the ships through. So to me, these quotes, along with the survey findings, illustrate that I think there is this opportunity to support navigators better to facilitate these conversations and get folks the care they need. I won't read all of these. This will be in the manuscript, but we were even with just a handful of folks, when you talk to people that are doing this work, they see the barriers and they also have pretty good ideas about how to improve things. And so if you don't get enough tissue for molecular testing, there's ways to work with our pulmonology colleagues, of course, to prioritize molecular testing, to use liquid biopsy. And I'll skip down to the last one. A number of folks commented on the lack of awareness, and I think that's one of the places where LCI is so important, to highlight that awareness of things like precision medicine to improve outcomes. So I just really, my conclusion is my gratitude to LCI for giving me this opportunity. I learned a ton. This was, like I say, the very first grant I ever got. Now I'm a faculty member and I'm submitting an NCI grant next week. I mean, this was a huge opportunity for me, and I learned so much. And I think that we also had some important research findings that have the potential to really improve outcomes for patients with lung cancer. So I want to thank some of the mentors that have been important to me, Marjorie Charlot and Sam Sykert, many of the folks that have funded me, and also and to the patients really who motivate all of this work. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Stein. I am Jenny Denai. I'm the Chief Mission Delivery Officer at Lung Cancer Initiative. And I know most of you, and if I haven't said hello yet tonight, hello to everyone. It's so good to see all of you here. And thank you to Dr. Stein for sharing about his research. It's just so great to hear about the research we're funding at LCI, because the goal is more survivors. And we know that research can save lives. And so that is what I'm going to talk about, is our survivors. So let's go ahead and get some more exercise. If you are a lung cancer survivor, can you please stand up, because you're the reason we're here tonight. Thank you so much. And I know for me personally, you're the inspiration for what I do every day. And I'm just thankful for you all to be here. And also excited that we have really increased our survivorship programming over the years. So we have so many different opportunities coming up this year, including our monthly survivor luncheons, which are virtual. And so people from across the state can join. We've actually had people all across the country joining, which is exciting. We also have our in-person Survivors Day event in Durham. That's June 9th. So I hope you can make that. We have peer-to-peer connections. And I think that's one thing we've always been great about at Lung Cancer Initiative is getting patients connected and with each other and also with the community. So you know that you don't have to walk this journey alone. We're a big family. And so that leads to the next thing, is our family day. This is our first year doing this event. And thank you to Terry and David for hosting at Camp La Tida. It's going to be a great event. If you're part of LCI's family, we encourage you to attend. Bring your kids. I'll be there with my kids. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we do this year, our education program is going to shift a little bit. We're going to have more tailored education for lung cancer survivors and also education for caregivers. And so we really want to specifically target those audiences. And so more to come. Look on our events page and you'll see those upcoming events. And all of these programs are really helped, influenced by our Survivor Steering Committee. And I know so many of them are here tonight. I won't make you stand again because you just did. But really, this committee helps us know what areas to focus on, know what programming is important to them. And so I just want to thank all of you, and I'll see you tomorrow because we're meeting tomorrow. So another very exciting announcement, as some of you have heard, we have a new role at Lung Cancer Initiative called Survivor Liaison. So it's a new role for an old friend, really, someone we've known for a while. And I know a lot of you know Cheryl, but I'm excited to have her on board and let her talk a little bit now. But thank you, Cheryl, for joining.
Thank you.
Hello, I am so excited to be here tonight with you guys. On the screen, you will see the Survivor Wellness Retreat represented over the last 6 years. So the last 6 years, we have done this in partnership with Wind River Wellness Retreats, which is the organization that I worked with for many, many years. And I am so incredibly grateful for the opportunity to have run these retreats with partnership between Wind River and the Lung Cancer Initiative. It's given me a great glimpse into the heart of this organization and the passion. I'm just so excited to be here. We just had completed the lung cancer retreat last year when I learned that Wind River was going to be ceasing all operations. And so it had this amazing retreat. And I sat down along with Terry Barron with Jenny and said, you know, I'm not really sure what we're going to do, but this is coming to an end. And Jenny looked at me with those very determined eyes that she has, and she said, well, it simply can't end. The retreats cannot end for survivors. The work that we do for survivors through these retreats will not end. And here we are. I mean, they figured out a way to make it happen. And this is the heart and the determination with which this amazing organization serves the lung cancer community. And I am just so excited now to be serving the survivor liaison role. It's a passionate team, and I'm happy to be part of it. So over the last 6 years, and you'll see some of that represents 6 years of some pretty amazing memories. I've created and organized and run these wellness retreats. I've come to know firsthand that lung cancer survivors are superheroes. I have learned so much from you, and you inspire me. Every time I have a conversation with a survivor, I'm inspired again. So, you know, the medical piece of it is one part of survivorship. It's an important part. Clearly, the conventional treatment and all of the things and the advances. The survivor retreat addresses all of the other things like the mind, the body, the spirit. Like I had an amazing conversation earlier with Jerry. Jerry, are you in here? 18-year survivor who said, he said, you know, surviving lung cancer helped me determine who I wanted to be. And with such passion, you know, getting a second glimpse at life and where we go with that, where we take it, that's what this is all about. It's that layer of information, that layer of playfulness. You know, there's so much that takes away from who you are when you're dealing with treatment, with, you know, all of the things that come. You all know what that means. And so for folks that can kind of step aside, step out of that, for just a minute, put it down and remember how to play, like remember how to laugh, remember how to like what makes you happy. And so that's what we do at the retreats. And we do this through meditation, mindfulness, sound therapy, sharing stories. It's an amazing time. And so I am so excited that we now are going to have this retreat as part of the Lung Cancer Initiative. It is the Lung Cancer Initiative Survivor Retreat, and it takes place this year in September, again at Camp La Tida. So I invite you to take a look, ask me questions. There's information on the website, and we're just going to have a great year together. So thanks. That button. There we go. All right, so now I get to announce the Volunteer of the Year. This award recognizes the impact, dedication, and generosity of someone who gives their time freely to support the mission of Lung Cancer Initiative. Health fair volunteer, community presenters, grassroots event planners, interns, and other volunteers may be nominated. And so this year, our Volunteer of the Year is Terry Barron, that I know and love and adore from hosting the lung cancer retreat the last couple of years out at the beautiful property. Terry just has the true spirit of like the heart of service, and she goes beyond and serves survivors with such passion, even beyond the retreats, reaching out to folks, bringing them into their property. I mean, even this out front earlier, Terry and David were inviting folks to come do some painting, you know, so the service just continues to grow with this couple, and especially Terry, thank you so much. And it's so well-deserved Volunteer of the Year.
Well, thank you, LCI. I am humbled, honored, and deeply grateful to be here and accept this. David came to me on Monday morning following the retreat and said, "We can't wait another whole year to do this again." I venture to say that anyone who receives an award like this had no thought or intention of receiving it, especially for doing something that brings such deep joy and fills a need for so many. At least that's how it is for me. Hosting the LCI Wellness Retreat was born out of my own experience attending the retreat after my recurrent diagnosis, and I needed to be with others who were experiencing something similar and to find my tribe, people I could relate to and who could relate to me. Our first retreat at Camp La Tida in September of 2022 was quite different than the second retreat this past fall. We were just coming out of that thing called COVID, somebody said earlier, and we were very cognizant of the health issues surrounding a group of lung cancer survivors. Most of our activities were scheduled outdoors with easy access to indoor restrooms. Fortunately, the weather agreed with us and everything was held al fresco. Late last fall, we felt more comfortable opening up our indoor spaces as well. We still plan for lots of outdoor activities, including an international silent meditation walk, treasure hunt, Tai Chi, labyrinth walk, and more. Even though there was a hurricane that weekend, we bundled up and participated in the silent walk. Some activities needed to be moved indoors. We had 8 participants and about that many facilitators. We all fit comfortably in the spaces we have. That was the litmus test for the future retreats. We hosted a facilitators dinner the night before the retreat. We walked the property and discussed things about the retreat, like where activities would take place, created seating arrangements for outdoor activities, and hid treasures for the treasure hunt we had planned. This was followed by a lovely alfresco dinner. I realized how important it was to have the facilitators dinner before the retreat, more so after the second retreat. As facilitators, we worked out and fine-tuned our plans and activities. It was also an opportunity to meet for the first time or get reacquainted with each other before the participants arrived. This allowed time for us to bond and create a cohesiveness among the facilitators. Priceless in the success of the retreat. As the participants arrived the following morning, I noticed the hesitancy and trepidation on many of their faces, with looks like, what have I gotten myself into? I see you out there. Well, some looked defeated. Others looked like they had completely lost hope. Over the course of the retreat, smiles began to replace frowns. Conversations ensued and laughter filled the air. I saw the look of hope in their faces. A community was born. Hope is why David and I do what we do. We have the space to host these events and the heart to keep that hope going. Our desire is to add more events as time and funds allow. Thank you, LCI, for this opportunity to serve this precious community.
Okay. Okay. And now I just wanted to talk a little bit about LCI's access programs. Along with the survivor programs, I've really seen these grow over the years. And again, a lot of it is trying to reach more survivors. And so this year we've increased our gas cards that we're giving out. We're also giving them out. We started piloting gas cards for lung cancer screening to help people get to their low-dose CT scan. We've increased our patient emergency fund so we can help people with their, general daily expenses, or if they're, need new tires on their car, whatever it may be, we want to help them. And again, we have our community reach grants, and these really help us get out into the communities and kind of extend beyond our reach to the communities locally in North Carolina. We have a new program that is starting. We've been doing it for about a couple months now, but you'll hear more about it later. It's called Screening Saves. And so we're delving more into the lung cancer screening space because, again, we want people diagnosed sooner, so we have more survivors. And so thank you to Dr. Mehta and Dr. Oliver on our board being a part of that program. And then I also just wanted to thank our access committee. So we've really grown and expand what before was our REACH grant committee, and their only purpose really was to review our REACH grants. And now it's going to be a more encompassing committee where they're really going to look at all of our programs and help us know, where do we need to do more outreach? Where do we need to have more of a presence? And so I'm excited that committee has grown as well. And you can see some of the counties here that we're reaching with the gas card program. We really are reaching all the different areas in North Carolina. And I'm just excited to be able to do more. And so I wanted to actually bring up Dr. Oliver, if she could come and share a few words as well.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Dr. Oliver. I'm actually a thoracic surgeon, so probably a little bit of an odd duck, but this is really one of the happiest places I get to be. I do what I do because I care about my patients. You guys are the heart and soul of why I went to medical school, why I did all the ridiculous training. You are the cherry on top. You are all the goodness. And so what everyone has said before, It starts with survivors here at LCI. You're the heart and soul of everything that we do. And those survivors, you know, for the caregivers, in my mind, you're also the survivor for me. So you're all part of the package. It's not just a patient, it's a community that gets sick. It's a community that goes through treatment. It's a community that deals with all the fallout from that treatment. And it's a community that gets the victories. And it's the community that's there when we get our disappointments. And LCI is a wonderful mirror of what happens in that microcosm when you get that cancer diagnosis. It's not over. So back to access. So we talked a little bit about access. I just wanted to say they actually were kind enough to let me kind of get on the bandwagon. I'm a bit of probably a very small hound dog when it comes to wanting people to be able to get what they need. I'm in Eastern North Carolina and probably get to serve some of our more rural parts of the state. But also LCI does a wonderful job, and you've heard this all night, where one of the strengths of this organization is that it doesn't care what health system you're a part of. It just cares that you're here. And the best organizations pull people together. They find the connectedness and they amplify that. And LCI does that in spades. So if you're sitting in this room, it's because you're going to become a node of another amplification that you'll get to be, whether it's in the community of people who are dealing with the diagnosis or other clinicians, or you get to be the provider in Greensboro that gets to light them on fire and get a bunch of other people excited about taking care of cancer patients. So please take this moment and this night, even though it's a little bit long, and carry that with you. So I carry it with me tomorrow morning for my 4 cases, because you guys get to be the spark that I get to encourage people that you'll never get to meet, that there is life after the diagnosis. And it's not just minutes that we string together while we're waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's much more than that. And because of that, I'm going to talk about our Survivor of the Year. So I'm not going to say very much about her because she's so fantastic. I want her to tell us about her story. I practice in Greenville, North Carolina, and that's where our survivor this year is from. What I love about her story, and once again, I'm a little bit jaded because I'm a thoracic surgeon. We get really geeked when people go through surgery and they live a really long time. So Mary Frances is one of my favorite people, mostly because she has a quiet personality that is everything that I hope that my patients will understand that they can do in their own way. That survivorship, and you'll meet it through all of our other survivors, there's this quiet resolve that happens. That's the difference between not just getting through the diagnosis, but living through the diagnosis. And Mary Frances is a wonderful example of someone who has not taken any curve that's been thrown at her as something to dodge, but it's something to lean into, and she brings other people with her. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Mary up to talk about herself.
Well, I'm not a speaker, so I will tell you that up front. I will say, though, that I'm very honored and thank you for the kind words. Years ago, and I think it's now, I have to count, it's that long. I think it's now 12 years ago, I found that I was supported by fellow survivors, and they helped me get through a traumatic time because I had surgery, chemo, radiation, and it just seemed to go on and on and on. And then the recovery just seemed to go on and on. So during that time, people helped me, and I decided then that I needed to pay it forward.
Congratulations, Mary Frances, and all of our award winners so far tonight. This is just such a motivating night, and it's all about partnership. I hope you're hearing that. It's partnership on the individual level up to the business and corporate level. There's so many different partners in this room and so many different partners that are part of our organization, whether it's through the Lung Cancer Action Network, which is all the lung cancer patient advocacy organizations in the country. We work together on things like pursuing federal funding for lung cancer research. It's working with our state cancer control branch on committees that look at early detection, which our very own Jenny Denai actually chairs for the state of North Carolina. There's so many different ways that we partner. This picture here is actually a group including including LCI. Whoop, there we are. I don't know, I'm jumping. I want this one. This one, including LCI, including elected officials, community leaders, industry partners. Dr. Oliver actually had the chance to be part of a panel discussion to share information about the importance of biomarker testing with this group. So LCI, we can't exist without our partners. And that's what this picture is all about here. This is only a fraction of the partners that we work with, but it just amazes us all the different ways that we are able to partner to get the word out, to raise awareness about lung cancer, and to connect with other patients and other families across our state and really beyond. And so with that, it is my greatest pleasure to introduce someone who you may remember from last year, Chad Hilton. He was our Volunteer of the Year last year. He is also a partnership exemplified. I don't know a better way to say it, but certainly a big partner for LCI in the lung cancer community. And Chad is going to present our next award. So I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you. I am honored that you would ask me to do this, and I'm happy to be here in person this year. Last year, it was a Chat GPT Chad video of me last year that because I was out of town and wasn't able to be here for the event. So as Paige said, this year LCI is recognizing the impact, the dedication, the generosity of area college students. It's important that we have lots of different members. We've heard from a lot of you guys tonight, but another important group of people is are the young people that can also spread the word about lung cancer awareness. These college students who give their time freely, we know how busy college is, and we know how stressful and how many demands are on you in college. So this award makes it even more important. But these students make a remarkable impact on the lung cancer community through their efforts and they're being awarded tonight for a special community partner of the year. So allow me just to tell you a little bit about this fine group of college students from a wonderful school down the road that wears light blue. So allow me, I'm proud to get to present this award because I first met this group, the American Lung Cancer Screening Initiative, at the UNC Chapel Hill in August of 2022 when we built this ribbon together at a UNC football tailgate game in honor of one of those football players that is pictured here in this picture, Tylee Craft, who's a lung cancer survivor himself and plays on the football team. But I was honored to get to build this with that group. So I bring this with me tonight for that reason. Allow me to tell you just a little bit about ALCSI. You might not have ever heard of this group, but it's an international organization that has over 20 chapters, including 2 here in North Carolina, one at NC State and one at UNC. They lead initiatives across the United States, but also in other countries internationally, such as Canada, United Kingdom, India, and a few others. The entire organization is run by undergrad students and medical students as well, medical school students as well. This chapter at UNC was started in January of 2022, and it started with 3 members, but now has expanded to almost 20 students that are now a part. A couple of initiatives that they've done in the state, just to name 2 or 3 here, is they've presented awareness campaigns about lung cancer screening in various communities. They've hosted speaker events to pass around information about vital screening or lung cancer screening, and they've also worked with a U.S. congressman looking for support for a statewide bill for lung cancer screening, as well as making November Lung Cancer Awareness Month here in North Carolina. So without further ado, I'd like to invite two members of this wonderful group, Varad, the president, and Tian, the vice president, to receive our Community Partner of the Year award.
We just like to say thank you so much to LCI and Chad for giving this opportunity and just this award. We're, as Chad said, we're undergraduate seniors and graduating in May. We're all biomedical engineering students. And so one of the fine opportunities as an engineering student is that you get to sit behind a desk and start coding most of the time. But LCI and LSI has provided this wonderful opportunity to actually able to connect our engineering experience to kind of a human and patient interaction. And so through LCI and this lung cancer campaign and awareness, we've have the opportunity to interact with physicians, medical professionals, advocates, survivors, and has truly provided us a well-rounded experience as we kind of graduate from our college. But we just like to say thank you to LCI, to everyone in this room, and we're excited to continue working for such an important cause. Thank you.
What a wonderful evening. Oh my gosh. I'm smiling ear to ear, and I hope you guys are having a good time. My name is Sandy Oler, and I was going to say a 20-year, but as of tomorrow, I will be a 21-year lung cancer survivor. I also lead the events, the fundraising events for our organization, but I certainly don't do it alone. These events take the volunteers, the amazing volunteers that we have to put them on. And in 2023, we raised over $614,000 with our events, with over 2,300 people attending. We had 4 lunches throughout the state of North Carolina, our newest one being in Eastern North Carolina in Greenville. We had a golf classic. We have Evening of Hope Gala. And we had a couple of grassroots events, the Jody 5K, and we had a poker tournament. So we also launched our first regatta that will be hosted on May 31st this year. So they have been, yeah, that's right, row it. So they have been working hard to get that ready for May 31st. So we have been very busy in 2023, and I am honored to announce the Committee Member of the Year Award for this year. And this award recognizes the time and energy and support given by a committee member who is dedicated to supporting the mission of a committee on which they serve. And it can be from any of the committees that we have. This year's Committee Member of the Year award goes to Jane Peterson. And so we're going to do it a little different this time. I have a special message that I'm going to, or maybe you can turn on the play button. Okay. Technology is not my friend. So we have a special message from one of our board of directors members, Liz Henson, and she has a couple words to say about Jane.
Hi, my name is Liz Henson, and many of you know me from my longtime involvement with the Triangle Lunge Forward. I got involved in 2008 after my mom passed away in 2007 from the effects of lung cancer. Since 2008, I have served either as the event chair or as a committee chair of the event, managing all things to do with the course. A friend of mine, Jane Peterson, and her family attended the Triangle Lunge Forward in 2008 because she had also lost her mom to lung cancer in 2007. After the event, she came to me and said, "How can I help? What can I do?" And boy, did she mean it. Since 2008, Jane has volunteered at the event, bringing family and friends for 16 years. She comes with her husband Craig, her children Elizabeth, Christian, and Daniel, and too many friends to name. Jane always comes early the day of the event to help me set up, put out signs, and then her family and friends work as volunteers on the course. Jane has always organized and managed the water station. Her husband Craig has ridden in the police car to guide the police, and her daughter Elizabeth has been a trail walker for many years, making sure participants go the right way. They handle whatever tasks are needed. Jane and her family never leave until everything is put up, packed up, and put away. Put simply, she has made my role for the Lunch Forward much easier, as I know I can always depend on her and her family. While I am disappointed Jane and I are not with you this evening to present her this award, I am certainly thankful that she will be with me on March 23rd and her family to make the Triangle Lunch Forward a great success. As long as I am chair of the committee overseeing the course and the course volunteers, I know I will want Jane to serve on my committee, providing me invaluable support. Congratulations, Jane, on receiving the award for Committee Member of the Year.
Awesome. So Jane is the winner. Unfortunately, Jane could not be with us as well. So we have a recording from Jane, a little message to our audience.
Hello, Lung Cancer Initiative of North Carolina. My name is Jane Peterson, and this is my family, Craig, Christian, Elizabeth, and Jay. My son Daniel lives in Charlotte, and he was not able to join us tonight. And my dad, who has helped a lot, lives in Kansas City, and he was not able to be here tonight. As Liz mentioned, we lost my mom in 2007, and we all ran our first Lunge Forward 5K in 2008, where I saw Liz and knew immediately I wanted to get involved to honor my mom. To be nominated and selected for the Lung Cancer Initiative's Committee Member of the Year Award is such a great honor. We are unable to attend the award ceremony. We wish we could be with everyone, but we look forward to this year's Lunge Forward on March 23rd. Thank you again, and we'll see you guys soon. Hello.
So that was Jane, and I'm hoping that she's watching us on the live stream. So let's give her a big round of applause. So we have many committees, and all of our committees are volunteers working on them. If you have been part of any of our committees, would you please stand? Give yourselves a round of applause. We have 9 events that are happening this year, and the committees do an amazing job. And like I said, they're all volunteer led. And each of those committees has a chair. And I am very proud to work side by side with those chairs to make those 9 fundraising events happen. I want to recognize those that were able to make it today and thank them for their leadership in 2023. And I'd like to start with the person that led the Evening of Hope Gala, Angela Nicholson. If you would come up, please. Angela, how many years have you done it now? 7 years. Angela has volunteered 7 years leading the Evening of Hope Gala. So these are just small tokens of our appreciation. I would wish I could give you so much more. The chair of the Scientific Advisory Committee, Dr. Reddy, if you would come up and take a small token of our appreciation, please. Leading our Development Committee, Michael Solik, would you come up? Is he still here? No, okay, we'll get it to him. And the chair of our newest event, the regatta. Jim, would you come up and get your gift, please? I just wanted to thank everybody who's volunteered over the years for helping not only last year, but all these many years make LCI such a success. Truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you all.
Well, I'll say Dr. Milam, I can't say it as well as she did. She beat me to the punch. Everybody in this room is a volunteer. You help and you support LCI in so many ways you might not even know, but we cannot exist without you. So we just want you to know how much you mean to us at LCI. And we need your help. We need people in your network's help. And there's so many different ways that people provide support to us at LCI. We have our event committees, as Sandy was talking about. We have health fairs and education booths. Jerry is our go-to person for health cares. He can tell you all about those. Office volunteers, we need help in the office. We need help with our fundraising efforts. Internships, you heard about that tonight. Ambassadors in your local community. You may have a vacation home or know someone in the sporting world that could donate an experience to our Evening of Hope. Any way that you want to offer your support will benefit our organization. So talk with us, talk with any of our team, either tonight or later on. We would love your support. And we ask that you please share LCI in your networks. We've got all our social media information up here. We're even on TikTok now, so that's exciting. We've got all this listed in your program. But please engage and share information with your networks about LCI. We've got save the date information in your programs. You've been hearing about this White Ribbon Regatta. And before you leave tonight, we just want to get your mind going and thinking about the coast and getting excited about the White Ribbon Regatta. So with that, I'm going to see if Alicia and Anna can help us over here and playing a little video to send you off for the evening.
Hello, I'm Jim Shegog, a Wilmington native and advocate for the Lung Cancer Initiative here in Eastern North Carolina. Today I have some exciting news to share. On Friday, May 31st, a very special regatta is coming to Wrightsville Beach. The event will support families that are navigating lung cancer treatment and survival here in the greater Wilmington area. Lung Cancer Initiative has over a decade of experience funding research, providing families with resources, and educating healthcare providers. This year, we're emphasizing access to screening options. We aim to create access to our North Carolina network and raise funds to support services benefiting all families impacted by lung cancer. I hope you'll consider participating in this important event by becoming a sponsor or simply join us for one of the regatta events. Enjoy the spring season and spread the word, and thank you.
Well, if that doesn't get you excited about going to the regatta, I don't know what will. That's a great video. And again, an exciting event. And as Sandy said earlier, there's all different kinds of events and all different kinds of activities that we would love to partner with you in to raise awareness and to benefit LCI. Now, at the annual meeting, if you've been here before, we always like to have a fun gift for you for the evening. And so we want you to know that we are extra special thankful for you. So you have extra gum at your seats. And then we also have a nice little pouch that we hope you'll take and use. And just think of LCI. We are your partners. We are a resource for you. And we just thank you for all that you do. We want to say again, congratulations to all of our awardees this evening. We're just so grateful for all of you. And I hope that we will continue to see much more of all of you throughout this year. So thank you for spending your evening with us. And we hope that you have a wonderful rest of your year of 2024.